Hello there, back in Angry Welshman. Now, today I'm going to do something a little different, and I said I was going to do this a while back. I think just to see how things go, test the water, so to speak, to see what some people think, and if you think this video is good enough, I'll probably open up a second channel and do more game stuff. So, I might do some recordings on my PS4 perhaps, and do some recordings on my PC as well. Just, get some game time going if this proves interesting with some people. We'll see how it goes. Now, I did look at doing some more Flat Earth stuff, but then Level Earth Observer came up with a video about Elon Musk that made no sense whatsoever. Again, it's all conjecture on his part on how he thinks things are going, and it's essentially his opinions, this, that, whatever have you, blah, 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 and I'm just not interested anymore. The guy's a moron, simple as that, move on. So, today I'm going to do a little bit of a review / angry rant most of the time on quite a controversial game at this present minute that everyone seems to be talking about, which is Last of Us Part 2. Now, I'm using this video in the background just to have, something for people to look at. It's done, a video is, MK Ice and Fire, so I claim no ownership over this gameplay in the background, even though I have played the game myself. But you know what I mean. It's his video. Please go to his channel if you want to watch some. Please subscribe to him if that's the case, because I don't want to claim ownership over theirs and get in trouble, and so on and so forth. Right. So let me just start off this angry review with talking about, before I get into the sort of this. I hope this video is not going to be too long, but I'll try and see if I can. Keep it short and talk about certain aspects, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what I think of it, and how social media seems to act. Right, let's talk about the good stuff. Right, let me just put it this way. All the petty people that come online and say, hey, the game doesn't even look that good, right? Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. This game is stunning. It's second to none in many aspects. You know what I mean? And it's beautiful. And that's the thing, right? In terms of, if you want to call it a masterpiece, in terms of its gameplay, animations, the cinematic moments, the graphics, it truly is amazing, like second to none. It is incredible. Right? And there's plenty to go and find, there's plenty to see, all this kind of thing. In terms of that, right? It is fantastic, and the team should be lauded for the hard work that they've clearly put into this game. And, my entire playthrough that I played through on it got very little bugs, very little glitches. Even though some of the maps can feel a little overwhelming sometimes, you're just like, I have no idea where to go. So, I try and find, even though, I'm usually a perfectionist when it comes to finding things. And I swear I went through every nook and cranny that I could find, and I still missed out on coins and cards. Like the one you just saw her pick up there. I still missed out on like fucking probably 10 or 20. I was like, how was that possible? And, but again, it's a semi sort of open world type map. It's very well done, I think. Look at the scenery in the background now. It's very well made. And that's why I feel bad for the development staff for all the hate this game gets. Do I think that a lot of people are being, a vast amount of people are being incredibly petty? Yes. Just slamming it and all this kind of crap. Because let me put it this way. What I hate about the game has got nothing to do with Abby's physique. I had an issue with it at first, but the more I sort of played through the game, the less I cared. To be quite honest with you. But it's got nothing to do with her, and it's got nothing to do with Ellie and Dina, I think her name is. Got nothing to do with them being a couple. Even though I got some questions about that, about how it's paced about them being a thing. Because it happens very quickly, and it's given to no reason why. There's no sort of character development between them, but I'll get onto that a bit later. Right? Let's get on to a sort of, the bad points, which are many. Now, my main problem with this game is its pacing. right? The pacing of this game aggravates me because there's far too many moments where like nothing happens. You're just walking around finding stuff. You're finding, crafting materials. You're finding cards. There's literally moments where just nothing happens, right? And then there are other moments then where everything picks up, everything's really starting to get a high tempo, and then it stops dead to have like a flashback, or it stops dead for like another walking section where you've got to find stuff and do little things and find buttons or whatever have you. And it's so aggravating when a game does that, right? And so you can't really. And again with characters, the only characters I cared about in this game are Ellie and Joel. Now, spoilers, obviously, you're talking about a thing. I'm still one of these people that say that killing Joel off, the way they killed him off, and the fact that it happens 2 hours in is utter bollocks as far as I'm concerned. It is a very poor decision to do that. And in my opinion now, seeing that Joel is now gone, what's the interest going to be for Last of Us Part 3? If there ever's going to be one. Because everyone, I think Naughty Dog underestimated how many people love Joel. And that's another good point about this game. The other good points of this story are actually the flashbacks. There's some of the most heartwarming moments that are actually quite well written, and it gets a tear out of me. And it's the bit near the end where when Joel and Ellie talk, and Ellie says she'd like to try and forgive him. Why was that cutscene left to about literally 5 minutes before the end? That confuses me. In my opinion, that should have been a cutscene. Then they go, oh yeah, that she's going to forgive him or something, and then literally, half an hour later he dies. That'd be like, oh shit, now he wasn't able to earn her forgiveness before he died or anything like that. You know what I mean? Now, like, let's talk about characters. Let's talk about the main elephant in the room. Let's talk about Abby. Now, you're clearly meant to care for Abby, but I just don't give a shit about her. Her and her so-called quote-unquote friends are some of the most unlikable characters, and most of them are actual terrible people. You know what I mean? The only one of her friends I actually kind of liked was Owen, because Owen, you could tell throughout the game, actually just wanted to move on. He wanted to, it's all in the past, let's move on, let's build a life. In which Abby was just sort of like, no, I want to kill this man, I want to kill him now. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. But then again, Owen's still an arsehole because he cheated on his pregnant partner. And then that brings me on to the pregnant woman. Who in their right mind allows like a 6 or 7 month-old pregnant woman to go out on patrol? That's laughable. She was just there to create suspense or whatever. Like, oh my God, I hope she's okay, even though I didn't at all. Because, and even at one point, I swear I actually caught her smoking. Which, smoking whilst you're pregnant is very irresponsible and very dangerous. Right, and then there's like, what's the name? That Spanish guy, the womanizer. Like, he was funny maybe, but there's so many moments in the game that when they die or when they eventually get killed off, you're supposed to sort of like, oh my God, no, oh, it's so upsetting. You're clearly meant to care for them, even though vast majority of people don't. That's, the main issue here. It's, when Owen gets, I was gutted for Owen, to be honest with you, because he was like hoping to move on and have like a sort of, let's finally have a new life and just start anew. And like Abby, she's a fucking proper bitch as far as I'm concerned. Not once throughout the game she has any sort of issue or doubt or sort of whatever about what she did. Because remember, she didn't just kill Joel. She brutally, killed him in cold blood, essentially, out of petty revenge. You know what I mean? And it's just that throughout the game, it makes me think that Abby can have her revenge, but Ellie can't. And the game just essentially, throughout Abby's level, as far as I can see. Sorry if this has gone all over the place. Right? Abby is allowed to have her revenge and kill whoever she wants, and that's fine. And the game tries so hard to make it, oh, look how much of a lovely person Abby is. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. And the bit that annoyed me the most, is when the flashback scene when you start playing as Abby, and Abby's a young girl and all this kind of stuff. This part of the actual level actually really annoyed me. So yeah, I was like, oh, there's no way I can get through there, and it really irritated me actually. I spent ages trying to figure out how to go, and I was like, oh, you just do that. I was like, oh, whoops. And it tries to make, oh, look at the dad. The dad had to go through an emotional moment. Oh, what a lovely man he is. Oh, look at that. He's helping a lovely zebra. Bollocks. The guy's actually just as much of an arsehole as anything else. He truly is. He he's all delicate and caring about when helping a zebra, but he doesn't care at all about murdering a 14-year-old girl. And that's my issue. I blame everything on the dad. Right? I blame everything on the dad, because all they needed to do was wake Ellie up. That's all they needed to do was wake Ellie up. She was just unconscious. She wasn't in a coma or anything like that. She was unconscious. She wasn't dying. She just nearly drowned, but, Joel, resuscitated her or whatever. Or because Ellie deserved to know what was about to happen to her. And like I said, she wasn't going anywhere. This is where she wanted to be. This was her goal. She wanted her immunity to mean something. And, and the fact is, they ask the dad, Abby's dad, would you do it if it was Abby? And the actual fucker pauses and doesn't actually answer. Essentially meaning that, no, I wouldn't. So that's a bit fucking hypocritical of him. You know what I mean? And then, like, Abby goes, oh, if it was me, I'd let you do the operation. I'm like, bitch, shut up. It's not about you. This is about Ellie. This is about a girl that's unconscious in a bed in the other room from you that you could easily wake up and talk to, because there's no rush to make a cure. There would be no rush. That's even if they could. Because even in today's current climate, with today's technology, it would take years to develop a viable cure. Right? Viable cure. And then the only trouble is with the cure, it's a bit questionable on my part. Because you can't really cure clickers, can you? Because they're already full on gone. Does that mean then it will stop you getting infected? So it's an antibody. But then again, like you said, it will take years to develop a cure. So with the current climate and their amount of technology they have, it could take decades for a cure. And then probably a lot of people aren't going to be interested, like the that religious cult, what do they call the Scars, whatever you call them. They're probably not going to be interested because they've got their own life and community anyway. And there's, everything about, the cure as well is that, Ellie, she has a good life. The village is doing lovely. It's lovely people there. Even though they had to put a bigoted individual there and all this kind of thing. Even though Ellie being born when she was, Ellie probably should have no concept of bigotry or anything. Again, it's putting modern day politics and modern day agendas in a game where I think it doesn't belong. But then again, a story's a story, characters are characters, move on from that. Right? And it's, the game is filled with these moments. It's like you are walking through the camp, the wolves' camp, and they go through the body bags. And then one of them goes like, oh my god, it's Danny. And I'm like, who's Danny? I have no idea who he is. Am I supposed to feel emotional about this?
What was that sound? I got that gate.
Am I supposed to care? Nah. And most of them, when they die, I'm like, yes, die, you bloody awful person, you. And that's basically my aspect of the game, is that I don't care about any of the characters that you're clearly most care about. The one character that I actually mainly got pissed off about dying was Jesse. Because Jesse essentially died like a 2-bit side character. Like it meant nothing. You know? That irritated me more than anything. And the guy got no emotional send-off, no emotional moment or ending. There's like a moment, I think, near the ending where like Ellie and Danny are together in the house with the child. That apparently unless you pick up this book or a piece of paper, and apparently it tells you that Danny talks to the child about Jesse from time to time. Unless you actually pick that up, you're not going to know about that. And I really like Jesse. Jesse was actually one of the more likable characters in the game. You know, and yet he dies as boof. And then like Joel's brother, what's his name? My mind's gone blank at the minute. Like how he survives the gunshot from the back of the head. Like literally, pretty much looks like it exits through his eye. How he survives that, I have no idea. It doesn't make much sense. And see now, the anger's starting to calm down. All my points aren't flowing as well as they were before. And it's like when Abby finally catches up with Ellie and finds them in the theatre. She goes like, "Oh, I let you live and you wasted it." I'm like, "Bitch, bugger off! You don't get to be righteous. You know, you're not allowed to. You killed an individual in cold blood, and there's no way that you would have thought that people then would have not come to find her. You know what I mean?" And then it's like the two Asian girls. I didn't find them interesting at all. And then there's the fact that Abby seems very ignorant of the world around her and certain events. You know, where Owen says, "Well, we were considered terrorists. You know, we were considered terrorists and all this kind of thing." And Abby just goes, "Well, that's different." I'm like, "Bitch, how is it different? You know, how would you not realise the amount of times that Firefly essentially blew up tons of, you know, checkpoints and essentially killed a lot of innocent people and things like that? You know, how would you not notice this sort of stuff?" And she's adamant, "No, it's different." No, and again, Abby has no changes of opinion. She has no eureka moment, you know, and all this kind of thing. And there's no character progression with her. If I'd grown to like her first, then she kills Joel, then I would have been a bit more conflicted about it. I'd be like, "Well, oh crap, you know, oh for fuck's sake, you know," and then whatever. I think, was it Angry Joe or somebody else did a really good version of this? What would have been better is that playing as Ellie, we meet Abby, and you know we get to know her, and Ellie and Abby essentially get. I swear to God, I thought the horse was going to get killed here. Luckily, it didn't. And let's skip ahead a little bit. And I've lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, like so those two get a connection. They become like best of friends over the course of like several months. But then we find out that Abby's just been buying her time to get close to Joel and to get alone time with him to realize whatever. Then like the bombshell drops on like who Abby is when she like kills Joel. And then as playing as Ellie, you're conflicted because hey, you really liked Abby, and you know she's your friend, but you feel like you know she needs to answer for killing Joel. But then as you go along, you realise who Abby is and why she did what she did and all this kind of thing. But you're still like, no, she deserves, you know, Ellie deserves her moment, you know. And this is the thing, as a player who played through Last of Us Part 1, how many of you actually hesitated in your choice to actually do what you did at the end of Last of Us Part 1? And I'm guessing it's going to be none of you. We all happily, um, we all happily, you know, chose to do what we did to save Ellie. So essentially, the game tries to tell you, and Neil Druckmann tries to tell you, that you're the arsehole for doing what you did. But like I said, all they needed to do was wake Ellie up, tell her, tell Joel, allow Ellie to have a goodbye moment, a goodbye moment with Ellie, and that would have been, and I think Joel would have moved on. You know, that's my issue. But the way, and again, one of my things that I try not to talk about it too much on social media because I did earlier, and it's a mistake because the fans of this game come down on you like a ton of bricks. You know, like essentially, I was attacked earlier because basically I go, "Oh, it's a masterpiece," and I'm like, "Well, in terms of its game, graphics and animations and stuff, yeah, fine, it's quite a masterpiece in that sense, but in terms of story." And oh no, came down here. I had all this criticism that oh no, I just didn't get it. That's what winds me up the most, is that this individual generally tried to tell me that I didn't like the game because I don't get it. That it's all about empathy. Yes, I get, the story's not complicated to understand. It's easy to understand. I get the premise. I get it. But I still don't like it, and a lot of people don't. And it's mainly because I don't like it because the characters are so goddamn unlikable. Like these two loving each other just literally comes out of nowhere. There's no character progression between the two of them. I like Danny. She's all right. She's not a bad character at all. But it's the fact that she was in an on and off relationship with Jesse, but then Jesse did the kind-hearted thing to actually impregnate her first before they split up. You know, and it feels like Ellie's like the third wheel, so to speak, and she was just the rebound individual. You know, and that's the thing. And this guy on social media tried to tell me, "Oh, you just don't get it. This game's not for you. Go and play Call of Duty and all this kind of stuff." Bitch, bugger off. I've played some fantastic games over the years, ever since getting a PS4. I've played The Last of Us Part 2, the Uncharted collection, Uncharted 4, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Red Dead Redemption 2, or years ago, Red Faction, Batman trilogy, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and all this kind of stuff. I've played tons of games. I've played all these games before. Not just, and just suggesting that if you don't like the game, then you're a Call of Duty fanboy is incredibly immature. You know, and I don't know what else to talk about now. To be honest with you, I think I've covered my sort of rant about this game. Like, is this a good game? Yes. Does it have a masterpiece of a story? No. Mainly due to its pacing, to the fact that at one point I swear there was a flashback within a flashback. You know what I mean? And then there's that, what you call it moment, the as people call that moment, when there was that romance scene between Abby and Owen. Which that's a scene that you're supposed to have between two characters that you connect with and you care about. Not between one character like Owen that we still don't really know that much about because we don't have much time to connect with him, and between a character that just killed Joel. Then I'm supposed to go, oh yeah, what a raunchy scene. Oh, I love you. They love each other. No, no, no. You know, and like Joel's brother. Am I getting it right? Is it Sam? See, my mind's gone blank. I do apologise. The the names of some of the characters have completely gone from my mind. Oh, hang on a minute here. Let me. Joel's brother. Tommy. There we go. That makes it a lot easier. Like, the scenes where you're playing as Abby and you're chased down by Tommy, I actually generally like that bit. Because I was like, fucking hell, Tommy's such a badass. You know what I mean? He's murdering people left, right, and centre, and he catches that Hispanic chap, like, straight to the fucking eyes. I'm like, yes. And I like, every time he actually killed me during those sniper moments, I actually was like, yes, fucking die, you bitch. But I was like, oh, come on, stop killing me, because I have to play through this game. I want to finish it. Come on, let's go. You know what I mean? And Joel was such a badass, and Joel could have easily killed Abby if he tried to. You know? Like, and then he's like most done by in this game. Where, like, you know, he should have been treated better as a character. Jesse should have been treated better as a character. Hell, even Joel should have been treated better as a character. It's like the whole arc where Abby and the boy, I should say, to be politically correct here, go to the island. Now, that, in my opinion, seems like it should belong in an entirely different game. I didn't care, like, who are these scars? I don't care about these scars. Why are they important? You know, that's a sort of aspect, you know? Why are they important? And tell you what, they're not. All it is just a little side story that they have a problem with the wolves and they're trying to kill each other. All whilst back in Jackson are going on carefree, not knowing anything about this. What would have been good to implement in Jackson was a moment where, like, why did they have to have this massive ass wall? Why do they have to go around killing, you know, so many hordes of clickers all the time? You know, why do they need to go out and scavenge for stuff, even though they could probably easily grow their own food? I know it's winter, but they would have had stores, so why would they need to? You know, the community, in my opinion, was the closest thing that felt alive. It was a very well-made, well-looking community. You know, they had electricity. It was a, you know, big city. Life was good. You know? And they say, like, oh, you shouldn't kill the dogs. You're going to feel upset. Fuck off. If the dog attacks me, I'm putting a bullet through that thing. You know? And they're like, I know that in terms of story, you're seeing things that Abby can't. I mean, Abby doesn't know that most of the time that when Ellie kills the friends, that Ellie's mostly killing them in self-defense. But there was no moment, you know, between Abby and Ellie, you know, like going like, Joel killed my father. There was none of that. I wanted like a really heated exchange between this whole thing. You know, and all, you know, that sort of thing. I like the fact that in Abby, instead of actually thinking about a cure, Abby was then just going to kill Ellie. You know, so essentially she's killed a potential cure as well. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Then there was the, you know, the ending with where she's lost a couple of fingers. You know, yeah, that's kind of emotional, I guess. I don't know. But then there's this rumor about the ending, like, is that ending where she goes back to the house, does that take place after she's been back to Jackson first? Because like what somebody pointed out is that when Ellie walks through the farmstead, she doesn't look surprised that there's nobody there. You know, and she's wearing Dina's bracelet, which she doesn't wear when she goes off to find Abby for the second time. You know what I mean? She doesn't do that. But she has it when she gets there, so it leads people to believe, has she been back, but then just come back to the farm to pick up some stuff? Which doesn't make any sense either, because why would she leave all of her drawings and paintings behind? You know, leaving Joel's guitar behind, I kind of get. Even though it's just a guitar, that was his gift to you. Why are you trying to move on? Why are you trying to forget about Joel? That's, you know, no. And that's why she leaves all the drawings and paintings behind. It doesn't make much sense. And that's the thing again with that whole thing where you go and kill, and there's sort of like, oh, killing's bad because there's consequences. But you quite happily mow through an entire faction that for some reason they introduce right at the end that I don't give a shit about. What was it, the rattlesnakes or something? Like, who are they? Why couldn't that have been a faction of fireflies? Which then Abby then realizes, oh my god, the fireflies aren't all good. These guys are actually assholes. That would have made a little bit more sense, But again about the killing is that you quite happily mow through all these people to get to Abby, but then when you finally get to the individual that you actually really want to kill, you don't kill her and you leave her go. I'm like, what? I was like, she went all that way just to. I don't know anymore. But like, do I think that people on social media have been kind of petty with the hate? Yes, I generally do. A lot of it is just damn right, just going on about her Abby being muscular and massive and all this kind of stuff, and people just hating on it for the sake of hating on it. For me, I just don't like the story. Mainly not the story, but the characters. But apparently, me just not liking it makes me a bad person. If that's just how my interaction on social media goes. Now, social media is not a safe space. I can comment and reply on whatever tweet I want. It's social media. I can comment and reply on what I want. Because this was like a moment during Mass Effect or something where I was like talking about saying, oh, I don't, and oh, I love Mass Effect Andromeda, or it's a masterpiece. And I went, nah, it really isn't. And he went, let people like stuff. Yes, but I'm allowed to comment. As long as I'm not attacking you personally, and I'm going like, oh, you're a bloody, retard and all this kind of stuff. As long as I'm not doing that, then fine, because, yeah, that's ridiculous. But I'm allowed to share my opinion. I'm allowed to comment on stuff. And that's the problem with fandoms today, is that it's just full of kiss-assing. It's full of, oh yeah, this game is lovely, oh it's perfect, thank you for making such a masterpiece. Fuck all the haters, anyone who doesn't like the game, oh they're just idiots and homophobes. The only trouble is, calling everyone homophobes and calling everyone misogynists is an easy way to brand all criticism in the same boat. So all the legitimate criticism then essentially gets lost. No matter how reasonable your criticism may be, it's now gone. It's now meaningless. It's now labelled as just sheer hate. That's just how it seems to go. Right, so there's my sort of rant sort of review. In terms of out of 10, I give Last of Us Part 2 about a 6, maybe a 7. That's pretty much where I'm going with this. If you like the game, good for you. I'm currently playing through Ghost of Tsushima at the minute, and in my opinion, Ghost of Tsushima is bloody brilliant. I love it. I think it's genuinely really, really good. It's a different open world game. Is it as graphically impressive as Last of Us Part 2 in terms of ultra realism? No, but it's extremely pretty. And that's the thing, but each to their own. People on now need to stop attacking people who love it, stop attacking people who hate it. And that's the thing, I've stopped listening to certain YouTubers. The only guy I go to nowadays for sort of reviews are like Angry Joe and a couple of other gamers and stuff like that. There we are, that's my piece. See how you think of it. I know this was just literally a rant, and it's probably gone everywhere that I'm probably terrible at it. Probably to structure my videos a bit better if I'm going to do games like this. But then, do you think that I should go through just gameplay videos? So, recording me playing games, and as I'm playing it, I just chat about stuff. Should you think like a live stream for that would be a good idea also? If so, comment and thumb up, and leave comments down below and share your opinions on the matter. Alright, love you jubbly, have a nice day, I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.